For this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the block lace stitch. This is a gorgeous stitch which is a combination of chaining, double crochets and trebles. Really nice lightweight fabric you get. It is a 3-row repeated pattern, so it is slightly different on the back to the front, but a really gorgeous pattern. Perfect for your spring and summer scarves if you made it with a light cotton or a bamboo. Equally, you could make it with a chunky yarn and an Aran for your autumn winter scarves. So let's have a look at how to do the blocks lace stitch. Hello, my name's Karen Stangram and welcome to Conquer Crochet, the channel for tips, tricks and techniques for conquering your crochet. Everything I talk about in today's video will be linked in the descriptions below. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss a single stitch. So if you're keen to get going with this video, give me a thumbs up and let's do this. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using a double knit yarn. I have a 5mm crochet hook, a needle to sew in my ends, scissors to cut off the ends and a stitch marker if I need it. So I'm using a slightly bigger hook than I would ordinarily use with a double knit, just to give it a bit more of a lacy feel. The bigger the hook size you go with a double knit, the more lacy and drapey your fabric will be. Equally, if you went down to a smaller one, the tighter that you would get your fabric. So it depends what sort of look you're going for. So I'm using a 5mm with a double knit for this tutorial. So to start off, we're going to make a foundation chain. Our foundation chain needs to be made in multiples of 5, plus 2 extra at the end for turning. So make your slip knot in whichever way you prefer. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that will give us 1 block. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That will give us 2 blocks. So continue making your foundation chain in multiples of 5 and I will join you when you've finished. So pause the video now. So I've done my foundation chain in multiples of 5. I've done 20 chains to start off with this sample piece. And I'm going to crochet my 2 extra chains. And we're ready to start row 1. So row 1 will be on the right side of our work. And we're going to do a double crochet in the second chain from the hook. That's UK terminology. In US terminology, that would be a single crochet. So 1, we don't count the 1 on the hook, 1, 2, insert, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. We're now going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to skip the next 4 chains. So we've already worked into this chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we're skipping those and we're going to work into the next chain, the 5th one, with a double crochet. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. Double crochet in the 5th, and that's row 1 pattern repeat. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, double crochet in the 5th chain. So pause the video now whilst you work that pattern all the way down your row and I will join you at the end. So I'm coming up to the end of my row 1, so I've chained 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have 1 chain left at the end that we're going to double crochet into. And that is row 1 complete. So we've made our loops that we're then going to work into in the next row. So for row 2 then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. You can turn and chain 1 if you prefer. And we're going to do a double crochet in the first double crochet. So that chain 1 doesn't count. So we're going to be working into that very first stitch there. So we're going in with the double crochet. We're then going to do 5 double crochets in this loop. So over this chain we're going to do 5 double crochets. So you insert into the loop, yarn over, pull back through the loop, you have your 2 chains on your hook, yarn over through both chains. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and we're then going to double crochet into the double crochet from the previous row. So where you can see the join here, we're going to go into that double crochet there. Then we repeat 5 double crochets in the chain loop, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4 and 5, and double crochet in the double crochet from the previous row. So 5 double crochets in the chain loop, 1 double crochet in the previous row's double crochet. So that's row 2. So continue down the row and I'll show you what you need to do at the end. So at the end of row 2 I've done my 5 double crochets in a loop, and you'll see that you have 1 stitch left to work into, which is the double crochet from the previous row. So we're finishing on a double crochet into that double crochet from the previous row. And there we have row 2. Row 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. That 3 chain counts as a treble, so we're not going to work into that first stitch there. So if it didn't count, we would work into there. So when it does count, you don't work into that because that part is related to this part here. So we're going to do a treble in each of the 5 double crochets in that loop. So we don't go into that first one, so we go into 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 5. We're going to skip the double crochet in this little block here. We're going to chain 1 to travel over it, and then we do 5 trebles in the 5 double crochets from that chain loop. So we're skipping this one here, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you chain 1, you skip, and then we continue with our 5 trebles in those 5 double crochets. So pause the video now whilst you continue row 3, and I'll show you what you need to do at the end of row 3. So I've done my 5 trebles into the 5 double crochets in the loop, and previously we've chained 1 and then skipped the last stitch. We're not going to do that, we're not going to chain 1, we're just going to work another treble in the last stitch, and that will help to keep our rows nice and straight on the edges going up. So that's row 3, and then the last row in the repeated pattern is row 4. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. Chain 1 does not count, so we're going to work into that stitch there, and we're going in there with a double crochet. And this row is very similar to row 1, so we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, double crochet into the chain space, so not into the chains, not into the actual stitches, but into the space. So double crochet into the space, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, double crochet into the 1 chain space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, double crochet into the 1 chain space. So you're almost sort of setting up row 1 again, ready to work your double crochets into for row 2. Okay, so continue down this row then with 5 chains, double crochet into the 1 chain space, and I will join you at the end of this row. So I've done my last 5 chain. Now you could just double crochet straight into that chain space as we've been doing here, but if you want to get a much neater edge to your work, we're going to do our double crochet into the 3rd chain. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go into that 3rd chain, yarn over, pull through and do my double crochet. And that is the 3-row repeat. So we have our foundation chain and we have row 1. Then we repeat rows 2, rows 3 and row 4. And now we're going to go back to row 2. So row 1 is only done at the first time round. So for row 2 then, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, that doesn't count. Going to do a double crochet into that first space, and then your 5 double crochets into the loop. So you can pause the video, go back, have a look at each row, pause it whenever you want. You can also slow down videos on YouTube, so if you find I'm going a little bit too fast, you could slow the video down. But certainly stopping and starting a video is really useful when you're trying to learn how to do a new stitch. So have your pause button on hand. So I'm just going to work up a few more rows for you now so you can see what it looks like as the pattern develops. And I shall see you in a moment. So I've just worked up a few more rows now for you to see how the pattern looks, and we have 5 blocks here. That means we've done the pattern repeat 5 times. Remember, we do chain row and then we have row 1, and then rows 2, 3 and 4 are repeated to give you each of these blocks. So you start off with your chain row, but row 4 is also a chain row, so you have the same at the top as you do at the bottom, which is quite a nice feature. Sometimes you end up with slightly different designs, so I quite like that one. It's a really lovely lacy fabric. I made it with a 5mm crochet hook. You could make it with a 6 or 6.5 and give it much more of a drape, but a really lovely stitch for your spring summer garments if you did it in a cotton or a bamboo. An equally nice stitch to do for your autumn winters if you made it in a double knit Aran or a chunkier yarn. It would make a really lovely autumn winter scarf. So that's how to do the blocks lace stitch. I really hope you found today's tutorial useful. If there are any information that you need to find out about this video, have a look in the descriptions below where I post all the links to any freebies and other videos I think you might find useful. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this video, to give me a thumbs up below. Don't forget also to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you've enjoyed it and you'd like to see more of my tutorial videos. There are 2 other videos on screen to help you on your crochet journey, and I will see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and happy hooking!